lifts from the runway. The Queen's historic visit to Arabia. From the Oberdan Convention Centre, the Rothmans Soccer Medal. And now your host, David Fordham.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the beautiful Oberdan Centre here in Adelaide for the 1980 Rothmans Medal, the medal that signifies South Australia's best and fairest player for season 1980. It's great to see so many soccer players, soccer officials and soccer lovers here tonight looking very resplendent in formal wear, and I'm sure we're going to have a great night. At this stage I would like to welcome our official guests at tonight's presentation award dinner. Firstly, the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Dr. David Tonkin. The President of the South Australian Soccer Federation, Dr. Arthur Zakos. And in the blue corner, the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable John Bannon. And the State Manager of Rothmans, the company that makes this award possible. A big welcome for Mr. Kevin Gay. Gentlemen, let me discuss briefly the history of the Rothmans Medal here in South Australia. In 1978, the South Australian Soccer Federation accepted the Rothmans Medal as the official award for the best and fairest player in the Rothmans First Division competition. The Rothmans Medal is judged by the referees of Adelaide, with points being awarded on a 3-2-1 basis, and any player who is suspended during the season is of course ineligible. In the event of a tie, a countback will take place, and the player receiving the most 3-point votes will be declared the winner. If both players receive an equal number of votes by value, then a second medal can be struck, and of course a tie in that situation would be declared. Unlike most other football awards and competitions, there is no cash incentive offered by the Rothmans company, but the Rothmans Medal is recognised as the highest honour a footballer can achieve. And I think it's fitting at this stage we recognise the two previous recipients of this very coveted award. And of course, from 1978, the inaugural winner, Bobby Tufts. And from last year, Wally Boychuk. But more importantly to 1980, and the votes have been counted under the supervision of the Deputy State Electoral Officer, Mr. Andy Becker, and because of the number of eligible players, totalling this year 96, which is in effect 12 more than last year, we shall be counting down on the 21 players who polled the greatest number of points. As mentioned, any player who has been suspended by the disciplinary committee is ineligible for the Rothmans Medal of 1980. And a total of 14 players were declared ineligible in this year's Rothmans Division 1 League. Well, who will our winner be in 1980? Let's meet the top 21 players, and not necessarily in any particular order. Peter Amarato, the 20-year-old midfielder from Campbelltown City in his second year with that club. Harry Bell from Para Hills has had Scottish and New Zealand experience. This year he scored 12 goals. Peter Boyle, the 29-year-old midfielder from Port Adelaide, was also a national squad member in 1979. Ian Di Bartolo, the young Polonia defender, joined from Adelaide City in 1978. He's a defender that loves to attack. Gary Dooley from Elizabeth City is a full state representative at 23 years of age. John Fife, the Enfield Victorian captain, has had New Zealand experience, appearing in 2 New Zealand Cup finals. Gordon Haig is a 23-year-old sweeper from Campbelltown and is also a state representative. Peter Hurd is Croatia's talented sweeper. He was at the helm of Croatia's championship back 4 this year. Paul Yanacci is a talented youngster from Missouri who is also a state representative. Ronald Kuzmarski is Polonia's defender. He joined in 1978 from Elizabeth City. He's noted for his reliability. Barry Lean from Cumberland is equally at home at fullback or centre half and was his club's player of the year in 1979. Norm Lees is a very experienced midfielder from Beergrad Woodville. Robert Maui is a 25-year-old midfielder from Croatia with former Phillips League experience. Jimmy Mitchell hails from Port Adelaide, where he plays up front and adds speed and skill to an already strong forward line. And John Russell is a 28-year-old Missouri fullback who has had English and Phillips League experience. Bobby Tufts is Cumberland's 27-year-old midfielder who took out the inaugural Rothmans medal in 1978. Chris Harwood is an all-round defender with Beergrad Woodville. Bobby Henderson of Elizabeth City has been converted from striker to sweeper with great success. Jack Przybilski is the only goalkeeper in our finalists tonight. He joined Croatia in 1978. John Smith at 22 is a veteran of the Port Adelaide side. He plays at right back. And Jeff Tomlinson, despite injuries in previous seasons, is a finalist at our medal award tonight. Well, certainly a very illustrious field and 21 worthy contenders for this year's award. And we'll be following their progress right after this commercial break. Centre here in Adelaide for the 1980 Rothmans Soccer Medal. And as I mentioned, the medal would not be in existence except for that great company Rothmans. And with us tonight here at the Overland Centre, the State Manager for South Australia, Mr. Kevin Gay.
Thank you, David. The Premier, the Honourable Mr. David Tonkin, Mr. John Bannon, Dr. Zakos, previous gold medal winners, and distinguished guests. We at Rothmans are very proud to be associated once again with the South Australian Soccer Federation, and this is the 3rd Rothmans Gold Medal Award. The Rothmans Gold Medal is now associated with soccer in every state in Australia. In the past years, the medal has been won by players who have distinguished themselves not only on the field but off the field. And I'm sure that the winner tonight will be no exception to this. We sincerely thank the referees who allocate points after each match throughout the season. They make the award possible. Our thanks are also due to Mr. Andy Becker, the Deputy State Electoral Officer, who supervised the vote count tonight. Thank you to the media for your support throughout the season, and in particular to Channel 9 for tonight's telecast. Thank you all for coming along and helping to make this night the success it's going to be. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you to Mr. Kevin Gay, and of course thank you to Rothmans for making this award presentation possible. Well, now more importantly to the fate of the players, and our first count is for matches up and including May the 10th. Peter Amarato from Campbelltown City scored 1 point. Harry Bell, the Para Hill striker, is on 6 points. Peter Boyle from the Port Adelaide club did not score in any of these matches. Ian Di Bartolo from Polonia Adelaide has secured 6 points. Gary Dooley, Elizabeth City midfield player, has polled 7 points. John Fife, the centre half from Enfield, Victoria, also didn't score in these series. Gordon Haig, another Campbelltown City player, scored 1 point. Chris Harwood from Barragrade Woodville goes to 3 points on the board, as we move on to Bobby Henderson from Elizabeth City, who's polled 5 points. Peter Hurd of Croatia also scored 5 points. Paul Yanarchi of Edi Azuri has yet to score for the first count. Ronald Kuzmarski of Polonia also has yet to open his account. Barry Lean from Cumberland has scored 2 points. Norm Lees of Beograd Woodville also moves to 2 points. Robert Marwi from the Croatia club is another 2-point scorer. And completing the board, Jimmy Mitchell, the Port Adelaide striker, has polled 6 points. Jack Przbilski of Croatia goes to 2 points. John Russell, the fullback from Missouri, polled very well in the first 5 games and goes to 10 points. John Smith from Port Adelaide scored 2 points. Jeff Tomlinson from the Para Hills Club is on 3. And to make up the leading 21 players on the scoreboard, we have the inaugural winner of the Rothmans medal from 1978, Bobby Tufts from Cumberland United, also on 3 points. So our leader, as we look at the board, after the first 5 matches in the 1980 Rothmans medal, is from Edi Azuri, John Russell on 10 points. It's been a great year for Russell in his first year with the Azuri club. He has caught the judges' notice for some outstanding performances this year, but can he maintain that effort in the rounds remaining to challenge for this year's Rothmans medal? John Fife was the runner-up in last year's medal. How will he fare this year? We'll find out in just a moment. Overdan Convention Centre here in Adelaide for the Rothmans medal in soccer for 1980. We now look at the votes up until June the 28th. And this time we shall once again move down the board in alphabetical order. Peter Amarato of Campbelltown City moves to 12 points after scoring 2 3-point votes in matches against Port Adelaide and Beograd Woodville. Harry Bell of Para Hills moves to 14 points. Peter Boyle of Port Adelaide, his first appearance on the board with 2 points. On 9 points is Ian Di Bartolo from Polonia Adelaide. Gary Dooley, Elizabeth City, scored 3 3-point votes. He moves to 16 points. John Fife moves to 4 points. On 8 points, Gordon Haig of Campbelltown City. And Chris Harwood collected an extra 3 points to move to 6. Moving on to Bobby Henderson, he collected 3, 2 and 1 votes to go to 11 points. On 14 points is Peter Hurd from Croatia. Paul Yanarchi of Azuri is on the board with 5 points, and Ronald Kumarski of Polonia Adelaide is on 3. Barry Lean goes to 7 points, and Norm Lees moves to 5. Robert Marwi joins Barry Lean on 7 points, and Jimmy Mitchell polled 2 3s. He moves to 12 points. On 5 points is Jack Przbilski. John Russell scored 2 3-points, and he also moves to 16. John Smith of Port Adelaide, 4 points, and Jeff Tomlinson picked up a 3-pointer against Beograd Woodville to move to 6. And the last player on the board, Bobby Tufts of Cumberland, has moved along to 9 points. So, after 12 rounds, our joint leaders, as we look at the board, on 16 points, are John Russell and Gary Dooley. Dooley has been selected at South Australian level on several occasions, so it is probably natural that he is one of the leading contenders for this year's medal. There are still plenty of rounds remaining, and it will be interesting to see if the 23-year-old midfielder from Elizabeth City can maintain his form to secure the 1980 medal. For those people interested in the statistics of the 1980 Rothmans medal, 11 Beograd Woodville players scored 42 points. From Campbelltown City, 11 players scored 61. For Croatia, 8 players scored 61 also. For Cumberland United, 10 players polled 50 points. And from Edi Azuri, 8 players scored 52. From Elizabeth City, 7 players scored 56. From Enfield, Victoria, 10 players scored 39. From Para Hills, 9 players polled 58 points. From Polonia Adelaide, 11 players scored 57. And finally, from Port Adelaide, 11 players scored 64. And now we go to matches to August the 9th, leaving just 1 round to go. So what an important stage we're at the moment. On 17 points is Peter Amarato of Campbelltown City. Harry Bell moves to 18 points. Peter Boyle moves along to 8. On 10 points is Ian Di Bartolo. Gary Dooley was awarded 3 points in the match against Polonia Adelaide and has now moved on to 19 points. John Fife moves to 10, and remembering last year John scored 19 points, and unfortunately it is now impossible for his to match that figure with only just 1 round to go. Also on 10 points is Gordon Haig, and completing the first board, Chris Harwood scored 1 3-point vote against Polonia to move on to 9. Once again, Bobby Henderson of Elizabeth City now moves to 13 points. Peter Hurd scored in matches against Cumberland, Azzurri and Elizabeth City. He also moves to 19 points. 3 players on 9, Paul Yanacci, Ronald Kuzmarski and Barry Lean, all moving on to 9 points. Norm Lees collected a 2 and a 1, and he also moves to 8. And the 3-point vote in the match between Enfield Victoria and Croatia went to Robert Maui, and he has progressed to 10 points. Jimmy Mitchell has slipped up to 15 points, and Jack Przewilski is on 10. John Russell scored a 3-point vote in the Port Adelaide match and goes to 19 points, joint leader with Gary Dooley. John Smith of Port Adelaide scored 2 3-point votes in matches on July the 5th and the 26th and goes to 10 points. And with just 1 round to go, Jeff Tomlinson scored 2 points and moves to 8. Bobby Tufts came on with a burst and scored 7 points in the last 5 matches. That's more than any other player in the competition and has moved to 16 points. But there are 3 players locked on 19 points, as we can see: John Russell, Gary Dooley and Peter Hurd. The First Division Premiership and the Rothmans medal would be just reward for the young Scot Peter Hurd. The talented Croatian sweeper has had a tremendous impact on the champion team's form this season, and predictably Hurd is throwing out a strong challenge to John Russell and Gary Dooley for this year's medal. So, there are now 6 players left in contention as we look at the board for this very coveted award, the Rothmans medal for 1980. It is possible for any one of these players to win. For example, if Bobby Tufts scored a 3-point vote in the last round and Gary Dooley, Peter Hurd and John Russell failed to score, there would be 4 players on 19 points. 3 of these 6 players scored points in the final round. If the result is a tie, as I mentioned, a count-back takes place, and the winner is the player who scores the most 3-point votes. Well, we won't keep you in too much more suspense. In a moment, we'll be back to announce the winner of this year's Rothmans medal. Gentlemen, at this magnificent award, that's it, the Rothmans medal for 1980. Who's taken it out? I'll now ask the President of the South Australian Soccer Federation, Dr. Arthur Zakos, to hand the envelope containing the winner's name to our Premier, the Honourable David Tonkin. The Premier will join me on the stage, and we won't keep you in suspense for much longer. The Premier.
Thank you, David. Mr. President, Mr. Gay, my parliamentary colleagues John Bannon, Stan Evans, and most distinguished guests. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. It's been a wonderful evening. It's an important event for South Australian soccer. It's a great pleasure to be part of it. This year, it's important, I think, to know that Australian soccer is celebrating its centenary. It's certainly come of age. It's recognised internationally. And I don't think there can be any doubt that in years to come, Australia will emerge, even more so, as one of the great soccer nations. We have, in South Australia, benefited enormously from the talents of a number of great players from other countries. The likes of Justin Fashanu from Norwich City and the Scot Dixie Deans have made an important contribution to South Australian soccer. I look forward to the day, though, when South Australia can field a team comprising players who have all progressed through the ranks of state soccer. And judging by the popularity of junior soccer, that day won't be very far off. There are some very exciting events in store for the game. In October next year, Australia will host the Youth World Soccer Cup. And of course, in 1982, Australia will again be a challenger for the World Cup. I'd like to congratulate the South Australian Soccer Federation for its excellent work in organising tonight's proceedings. I think you'll agree that with Channel 9's help, they've done it very well indeed. And I'd like to congratulate the recipients of the awards. And now, because, David, you did promise that we wouldn't keep them in suspense very much longer, I'd better get and open this envelope and have a look. This, of course, is always a very difficult time for everyone waiting. But I'm not going to keep you in suspense for very long. Gary Dooley of Elizabeth City.
Gary, you might join us on the stage to receive the medal for 1980. Gary Dooley of Elizabeth City is our winner for 1980. Well, gentlemen, I think you'll agree, a very popular winner, and I think it's only fitting we hear from Gary Dooley right now.
Hang on. I've just got to reiterate on the thanks already been bestowed upon Rothmans tonight. Thanks very much to Channel 9. Thanks very much to Jerry Chowdy for making this possible. Honestly, I think this is the first time I've ever been struck for words. No, thank you very much for everyone supporting, and if anyone's at home, I'll see you on Monday morning sometime, I think. Thank you very much.
What a popular winner, Gary Dooley of Elizabeth City. Well, I told you we wouldn't keep you in suspense for too much longer. But it was a very exciting final round. Gary Dooley won it on 21 points. In second place, just 1 point away, was John Russell on 20 and Peter Hurd on 19 from Croatia. So I won't say commiserations to those two fellows. It's congratulations on, obviously, a great season for those two players as well. But the man of the moment is Gary Dooley, who is our winner for 1980. That virtually wraps up our telecast from the Oberdam Centre here in Adelaide. We do hope that you enjoyed it, and we do hope that Rothmans continue their great support for soccer, not just in South Australia, but all around our nation. From David Fordham from the Oberdam Centre in Adelaide, good night on this night, the Rothmans Medal for 1980.